Hello. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host, Wally, and today we're doing some forest trail highlights. The Texas Forest Trail takes you around East Texas, through the Piney Woods, through several national forests. It's a pretty fun area to go visit. Here I am in Huntsville. That's usually where I start. You get to see Sam Houston stuff, like his statue and his grave. There's a memorial museum where you can learn all about Sam Houston, the general who defeated Santa Anna at the Battle of San Jacinto, and this is where he died, his steamboat house. Now, he was known as the Raven. That's the name that the Cherokee gave him. So there's his statue at the college campus to remind us of all his raven-y qualities. Huntsville is also home to the Texas Prison Museum and Old Sparky, the old electric chair that used to kill people. That's sad. Next up is Huntsville State Park. It's a nice little park with a cool pond, lake. I like walking along the trees. This is where you really start seeing the Texas Piney Woods. Then we have the Lightning Hopkins statue in Crockett, Texas, just outside Crockett National Forest. And Mission, Texas State Park. It's a restored model of a Texas mission. And Caddo Mound State Historic Site. The Caddo were the Native American tribe that used to live in the area of the Piney Woods, and they created their mounds for ceremonial purposes. And some of them can still be seen, especially here at Caddo Mound State Historic Site. You can also take a ride on the Texas State Railroad in Rusk. It's a nice little 2-hour ride that takes you in the loop. You get to see some nice Texas forest country. Plus, trains are fun. Then I ended up in Tyler, where I like to pose with the Tyler sign. Tyler is also home to the Tyler Rose Garden and Museum, where you get to see all sorts of roses and experience all the wonderful things that Tyler has to offer. I like going to the Rose Museum and seeing all the pageantry. I like seeing how they go all out to dress themselves up in rose stuff, and it's a pretty big rose garden, so I like taking a stroll through it. Tyler is also home to the Tiger Creek Sanctuary, where they save tigers and other felines. I like looking at them and seeing how relaxed they are. This one tried to spray me, but I don't blame him. I probably smell like cat. There's also Tyler State Park, which is a cool park you can go hiking at. It's a pretty level hike around the lake, and you get to see some nice fall colors if you get there during the right season. But the water does look very inviting. In the area, there's also Dangerfield State Park, which is in the northern section of the Texas Forest Trail. This is a hilly park, so I did like it. There's some elevation gains that make it more of a workout, but I like walking along the tall pine trees. Then one of my favorite places in Texas, Caddo Lake State Park. Here I am going canoeing in the fall. In the fall, you can see some really pretty orange colors. The trees just look awesome. And you can go canoeing. There's no current, so you can pretty much go wherever you want to go with little effort. And this is Caddo Lake in the winter. Look how silvery it looks. I need to go there once it's summer so I can experience all seasons of the park. If you're in the area, make sure to take a Caddo Lake boat tour. It shows you a different side of the park. Takes you deeper into the lake and more among the trees. It's definitely worth the 50 or $60 you can spend on it. Once you leave that area, there's Hog City Park, which is a nice little city park that talks about hog history. Jim Hog was a governor of Texas, and he has places all over Texas dedicated to him. When I go to Caddo Lake, I usually stay in Jefferson, Texas, and this is a historical museum. There, it's has a lot of artifacts, a lot of art, a lot of different things. It's a cool little museum to go visit. Definitely worth a stop. And I stay at the Excelsior Hotel, which is Texas' oldest hotels. It's nice and a little fancy for me. I'm used to cheap roadside hotels, but this was a nice little splurge. I think it was built in the 1840s. That's the inner courtyard, and it's supposed to be haunted. So I spooked myself at night, and I couldn't really sleep because I kept thinking of spooky creatures watching over me. But it was still definitely worth it. There's a Star Family Home State Historic Site, also in East Texas. Shows you how rich people lived back then. All the little houses, that's their little skull house that they used to have on the property. So, rich people really did have it made since forever. And there's the world's richest acre in Kilgore, Texas. So much oil came out of this acre that it was considered the world's richest. The oil derricks are still there just as a reminder of the history. And you can also visit the Texas Oil Museum while you were there. It tells you all about oil and the oil industry and oil history. As a replica boomtown, you can see how people used to live back then in these oil boomtowns. My next stop was at New London for the explosion cenotaph. It's a tragic event that happened where gas leak ended up exploding a whole skull, and because of that, now gas has a smell added to it, so that you know there's definitely a gas leak. And here's a historic outhouse. It's a rich people outhouse. Anyways, thanks for taking a ride with me through the Texas Forest Trail. I hope you eventually take it, see some of the sights out there. Texas is huge, so make sure to go and see some of it. Anyways, thanks. Like, subscribe, comment.